this is the gift that I bring, is to be like, if I don't advocate for myself, which then is what I learned is the work that I do is really self-advocacy, is telling women, hey, I want this and I can have it. So here I go, and it started with me realizing this has been a thing with me from a young age, which comes from me being a performer, me being in front of people. Like, if I want that attention and I can't, if you want the attention, you want the business, right? But then you don't want to be in front of people, it doesn't work. That's when we say, go get a job working for somebody else, hide behind a computer, and it's all good. So I believe it's just been with me.
Yeah, it's a beautiful gift to have because I definitely wasn't born naturally with that. That I had to find my way to, actually loving that spotlight.
Yeah.
But I do know that that when we get visible, when we're on stages, when we're on, where we're getting out in spaces where people can see and hear our messages, that's the fire in our brand, right? That's the fire that gets us, that gets people to even notice who we are, what we stand for. Hello, my extraordinary women friends. Up next in this Extraordinary Women Radio Ignite Speaker Series is the amazing Marta Spirk. She'll be joining us at the 10th Annual Extraordinary Women Ignite Conference on October 24th through 26th in Golden, Colorado. Marta was born and raised in Brazil and built a career as a teacher, a translator, and interpreter with over 20 years of experience in linguistics and communication. Using the spoken word and music, Marta helps individuals move past perfectionism, impostor syndrome, and comparison, and into visibility, credibility, and revenue growth. Marta has been featured on stages around the world, including TEDx, as well as on Fox Denver and Business Insider. She's also an award-winning best-selling author. Using a content concert format, her powerful presentations combine speaking with original live music to create a memorable song-versation experience that stands out at the highlight of events for years to come. I'm super thrilled to have her at Ignite, and I love this format. In today's episode, we'll dive into Marta's incredible journey, how she built a business as an immigrant and a mom to triplets, and her insights on self-confidence and self-promotion. Marta believes that if you don't share your gifts, you're doing the world and yourself a disservice. As I always say, right now, there is someone out there looking to find you. We'll explore why building brand awareness and visibility is crucial, the role of self-advocacy and authenticity in building your business, and how you can embrace your true self and boldly step into the spotlight. At Ignite, Marta will be speaking about how you can land on TEDx stages, offering invaluable insights and actionable strategies. So let's get ready to be inspired and learn how to shine brightly in your journey. Remember, Extraordinary Women Ignite is all about raising up your vision, your voice, and your visibility while building a business with more time prosperity and wealth prosperity. You will leave with a plan for 2025 to make your next up level happen. Early bird tickets are on sale now at CamiGellner.com/Ignite. Grab your tickets today. Now let's meet Ignite speaker, Marta Spirk. Well, welcome to Extraordinary Women Radio, Marta. It's so thrilling to have you here today.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. And I am even more thrilled that you're going to be at Ignite with us this year. We've been doing this series of speakers this month, and I'm thrilled that you're going to be one of our speakers on the stage at Ignite. You and I have known each other through the ethers for several years, but I don't think we've ever even gotten a chance to meet face to face. So I'm just really looking forward to spending time with you and having all of your beautiful wisdom to be shared with our stage and all the women in the room.
Yes, I'm super excited too.
Yeah. So I always love to start with story. So let's hear a bit of your story. You started your business as an immigrant and a mom to triplets. Mm-hmm. And so tell us a little bit about that journey that you've been on.
Yeah. So from a young age, I was very obsessed with the American culture. Obviously, there's a huge influence in Brazil of American movies and music, but I really took it a step further, and I really wanted to study English. And I remember listening to songs. Back in the day, there wasn't no internet where you could look up lyrics, you know, and if you don't speak the language, sometimes if
Right.
you speak the language, you even don't understand what they're saying. So
Exactly.
for me, I would pause the cassette tape or I would pause the CD and try to transcribe. Like I was really obsessed with it. And
Oh,
it was
wow.
that dream of mine of, I want to go to the United States. You know, I want to maybe move there one day. And I got to visit and go to Disney World, do all of that fun stuff. But eventually I did marry an American, which was the ultimate dream, and moved to Colorado. That's where he was living at the time, even though he's from Nebraska. And got to experience the American culture and all of that. But the business didn't start until the huge pivot that life threw at me, which was having triplets. Obviously, people ask me, did you plan for that? Let's just be clear. You can't plan for that. I mean, it's hard enough to plan to have one child, right? If you struggle
Right.
with infertility, let alone let me select that I will have three, or two or whatever.
Right.
So yes,
Right.
it was absolutely a surprise. And even though I was extremely grateful, as you can imagine, it was mixed feelings of, I didn't sign up for this. Why me,
Yeah.
God? I had plans of doing things with my life, of being a performer, of being on stage. Like I had these grandiose dreams, especially being in America and seeing all the possibilities of things that I could do. So it was in that moment, a few months in, when they were about 9 months old, that I decided to start my coaching business, because it was the boom at the time, 2016, of all the
Mm-hmm.
direct sales. All these different companies were coming out, and their biggest audience was stay-at-home moms. Make money off of your phone while the kids are napping. And that's exactly where I started. But eventually
Yeah.
I realized I don't like working for people. I want to be my own boss, and I want to, create my own offers and do my own things. And it's evolved into the work that I do now in supporting women with their visibility and branching out into the music, which we can talk about later too.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that as you have told that story. I think what's really interesting it was the songs that you were listening to as a young girl. So there's this love of music for you, and how that's really
Mhm.
that's what really you were learning English through the songs and
It
and
was.
transcribing those songs. So
Mhm.
beautiful that that thread has been there for you for
It has
so
been.
many years. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's totally beautiful. So I know that you speak a lot about self-confidence and not being afraid of self-promotion. And we both work with women entrepreneurs and getting their
Yeah.
voices out in the world. And that self-confidence and like, pulling back and playing small is so prevalent.
Mhm.
Um, so tell us a little bit more about how you really stepped into that space of being passionate about that.
Yeah. So I think I realized that it came naturally to me to want to talk about the things that I was doing. And then in
Hmm.
having people praise me, wow, you're so confident, you're not afraid to talk about yourself, is when I realized that there was a gift there. There was something different. Not
Hmm.
everybody is comfortable promoting themselves
Right.
and talking about themselves. So I
Right.
saw in that an opportunity to encourage women to say, well, if you don't talk about it, then who will? And
Right.
especially for the women that I help with that are moms as well, which was my case, building the business as my kids are growing. If you love something, you want to talk about it and you want to support it, especially as your kids. And we all know that in many ways, our businesses can be equal to having a baby. It is your baby. You have to
Oh,
nurture it.
it
It's a
totally is
part
our
of you,
baby, right?
right? So it's the same
Hmm.
thing. If you're proud of this thing that you created, then you have to showcase it and you have to talk about it. So it really started with me realizing that um, my motto growing up, because I'm the youngest, I have an older sister, and my motto has always been the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I've always been okay with crying for what I want and telling my parents this is what I want, which my sister is more, laid back and a more reserved person. It's not as easy for her to be like, I need this. She would just wait
Yeah.
until somebody kind of noticed. That is not my personality. And that's where I
Yeah.
think that this is the gift that I bring, is to be like, if I don't advocate for myself, which then is what I learned, is the work that I do is really self-advocacy, is telling women,
Yeah.
hey, I want this and I can have it. So here I go. Um, and it started with me realizing this has been a thing with me from a young age, which comes from me being a performer, being in front of people. Like, if I want that attention and I can't, if you want the attention, you want the business, right? but then
Right.
you don't want to be in front of people. It doesn't work. That's when we
Yeah.
say, go get a job working for somebody else, hide behind
Yeah.
a computer, and it's all good. So yeah,
Yeah.
I believe it's just been with me.
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful gift to have had because I definitely wasn't born naturally with that. That I had to find my way to, actually loving that spotlight.
Yeah.
Um, but I do know that that when we get visible, when we're on stages, when we're on, where we're getting out in spaces where people can see and hear our messages, that's the fire in our brand, right? That's the
Yes.
fire that gets us that gets people to even notice who we are, what we stand for. And that's where you can have all the right pieces in your happening in your business. You can have all the right packaging and pricing and brand and messaging and all that sort of thing, but if you're not getting visible, you're missing a whole big, people can't find you.
Exactly.
So it's just so important.
Hmm.
And so I know you work a lot with helping people build their brand and that brand awareness and their
Hmm.
visibility. So we've hit a little bit on this and why it's so important, but go expand on that a little bit.
Yeah. So I love that you said that there's a fire, there's a different aspect to it when you are speaking, but there's stages to that. So sometimes people are not ready to be on stage, so to speak,
Right.
but they still need to talk about their stuff. Because at times when I
Mm-hmm.
would tell people, oh, do you want to be on TV? And then I would have clients be like, I never want to be on TV. That's the last thing on my list. That's not even on my list. When for someone like me, it's like, yes, please put me front and center. But still, you have to create that awareness, whether that may be with social media presence or whether you're
Mm-hmm.
going to be showing up for networking meetings. You have to do something. So it doesn't mean that
Right.
you need to do the same things that I do, but you need to do
Right.
something. And I always say
Yeah.
something is better than nothing because you need to get yourself out there. But once you are doing something, let's get strategic about it. So if
Yeah.
networking is your go-to for visibility, then you can't just go once a year,
Yeah.
once every other month. Then you have to really be consistent with, I'm attending these two groups every month. When I get out of that meeting, I'm going to pick two people that I want to connect. You know what I'm saying? So it has to be very
Mm-hmm.
specific. Same thing with, if I hate, being on camera. That's something else that people say. I will post all day long, but I don't want to record a video. Don't like to see myself. Don't like to hear myself. Okay, fine. But what are you going to do then? Are you going to send emails? Are you going to build your email marketing? Right?
Yeah.
Are you going to then create posts with static pictures of yourself because you don't like yourself on video? I think in many ways people use the excuse of that's not me, when in reality it's
Right.
just an insecurity, oh, that's
Totally.
good for you, Marta, because that's your personality, but that's not me. Well, every business owner needs to have a marketing personality. I don't care who
Yeah.
you are, you need
We
to
don't
talk about.
survive otherwise.
You won't
Right.
survive otherwise. So find what works
Right.
then. But it has to be
Yeah.
something. So that's,
Yeah.
and there's different aspects of this, but you've got to find some way of promoting yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and there's different levels. Like sometimes we're tapping into other people's audiences that, people
Yeah,
have gathered. So like, coming to
exactly.
Ignite, you get to tap into my audience.
Exactly.
When you're on your own, your own teaching spaces, your webinars you might do, or you've got spaces that you're getting visible there, or you're going live,
Yeah.
right? You're getting on your spaces, you're educating the audience who already knows and loves you. And then when you're in your email list and you're in, I mean, so like there's all these different layers, but it's like how deep people really become, they really know, love, and trust you is
Mhm.
really what you're building. And you're finding spaces to get visible in different levels, like,
Yeah.
other people's audiences, your audiences, deep people that are deep into your audience.
Yeah.
And all of that is just, it's so critical to, otherwise, like you said, we don't survive as a
We
business.
don't. Well, and we need to be
Yeah.
top of mind too, because chances are, if somebody's following you or is friends with you, they know a handful of people that do something very similar. So why
Yeah.
would they want to work specifically with you when they could go with someone
Right.
else? The difference
Right.
is how you show up. If you send that
Yeah.
email, you make that post, they see you at a networking meeting, who are they going to go with? If you're
Yeah.
everywhere, that's what I started hearing people tell me, Marta, you're everywhere and you have triplets. When do you sleep? And it's like, well, I sleep. That's one of my priorities is I need to make sure I have at least 7 hours sleep. But I have these strategies in place so that people remember me and they think of me,
Yeah.
whether it be to hire me directly or to refer me.
Yeah. So expand on that a little bit because I love that component of it. It's like, they remember you, that memorable piece of
Mm,
you. And to me, when I think about that, it's often very much how aligned we are in our to who we are.
Yes.
But expand on that a little bit. It's like what comes to mind for you? How do you make yourself memorable?
Yeah, I love that because it has everything to do with authenticity. You could be
Yeah.
showing up and posting things kind of mechanically or creating things, but
Hmm.
it's not really true to yourself. And let's just be honest, this is a lifelong thing. Figuring out what's
Yeah.
authentic to you, that's our life's journey here on earth, is
No
understanding
doubt.
yourself, right? Unpacking all of
Yeah.
that. We unpack that
Yeah.
by going through challenges, meeting new people, realizing what we're made of, what bothers us, what triggers us, and all of those things. So I really think it starts with understanding your why. I've known of this book for so long, but I finally got to read the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And it
Oh
really
yeah.
unlocked
Hmm.
something in me in realizing this is what makes me authentic. And what I realized my why is really deeply rooted in is the American dream. Every piece of content that I create,
Mm,
if you look at it, it's infused with the idea of if you look for the possibilities, they're there. If you allow yourself to think about something that you want to do and actually say, I want to do this, and not be afraid, what will they think? Am I jumping to somebody else? She's never consistent, because those are the thoughts that started coming to my mind, especially as I go into the musical route. But even when I started my own business, it's like, are people
yeah.
going to think she can't stay with one thing? Why is she jumping here? Why? We have all these thoughts, which
Right.
who's thinking that? And if
They're
they are, that's
stories.
their problem, you know?
All
So
our self stories we tell ourselves.
exactly, all these things. So I think and this is an exercise that we do forevermore, right? I mean, how many coaching programs have we been in when the coach asks, what is your why? Why are you building this business? Why do you want to make six figures this year or this month or whatever it is? And you're like, I don't know, because I need to pay my bills. So we need to dig deeper. And as we start
Right.
digging deeper, we show up differently.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
even though you may hate marketing or you may be afraid of self promotion, that why deep in there is that fire for you to then
Yeah.
say, come work with me because I can help you, or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah. Totally. I love it. I totally love it. Then let's talk a bit about self advocacy.
Hmm.
Um, so tell us more. I mean, I know you talk about that a lot. So tell us more about what you mean by self advocacy
Yeah,
as an entrepreneur.
I had not been calling it that way until I did a podcast interview with a very fabulous host who then said, so basically what you're saying is, what you're helping people with is self advocacy. And I said, those are beautiful words that I was not using before. But it's back to that squeaky wheel gets the grease. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't
Mm-hmm.
say, then how will people know? If you don't
Yeah.
voice your needs, and this goes for every area of life, as a mom, and really started for me as a mom. If I don't say, hey, I need my alone time, and not feel bad, but I just had the babies and I need to sit with them 24 hours a day. Those are one of the biggest struggles, mom guilt,
Totally.
hashtag mom
Totally.
guilt,
Yeah.
or anything else, in building your business, you feel guilty because you think about your business 24/7 and you can't unplug on the weekends and you answer emails late at night. And then you have your spouse saying, hey, you need to ease off. It's like you're married to your phone. All of these things, it's like you need
It's
to
push
be able
pull,
to,
right?
it's a push and pull.
Totally
And
push pull. Yeah.
it really starts with self-awareness. How can you
Yeah.
advocate for yourself if you don't really know yourself and you don't know what you need? And again, having the triplets made me realize that I am this person, because I was afraid of being the person that I am today,
Mm,
honestly. I was afraid of saying, I want to do something else and also be a mom, because there was some
yeah.
pushback, from family and uh,
Yeah.
friends and stuff questioning me. And then I was like, why do I feel this need? What is wrong with me? And then I realized nothing is wrong. This is who I am. So when you
Yeah.
know this is who you are, then you can
Yeah.
say, these are my needs. And then people can follow suit, because that's the other thing. I mean, ask any relationship expert. You teach people how to treat you. If
Totally.
somebody's treating you
Totally.
wrong, especially in your personal relationships, you're
Hmm.
allowing that. So
Yeah.
advocacy has everything to do with boundaries as well, that you set for people and
So
for your.
how old are your children today?
They're 8.
They're 8. So you've had good years of experience really doing the
Yes.
self-advocacy that started there. Now, how
Mhm.
does it tie into your business then? Keep going there.
Yeah, well, it's tied in with the boundaries in terms of work. I feel like, especially
Hmm.
in the last couple of years, as I've been pursuing more of the music, I have been able to feel more balanced, the elusive work-life balance. And I mean, any entrepreneur that's building their business will tell you the first few years are tough. You're finding yourself. You're not making a whole lot of money, probably. You still don't know who you're helping, what your offers are. It's kind of hard to nail it down. And for me, I feel like it was even more stressful because I was building it while raising them. But in many ways, it was helpful because they slept more. They had different needs that allowed me to take more time for the business, that I do things differently now. But I think a lot of it had to do with me finding that, again, elusive balance, but really being able to unplug, understand when I need to do work. And that's something that they know, oh, she's working now. And there's also times that they tell me you're always on your phone. You're always on the computer. But then I will find my daughter, especially sometimes sitting on this chair, she put my glasses on and she pretends to be typing. So it's not always rainbows and butterflies, but they're watching.
Yeah, they're definitely watching and they're soaking that in, and they're going to be able to, I mean, you'll be an influence on what they choose to do, seeing you succeed in the ways that you've succeeded. So I love that so much. And the other thing I want to ask is really about, so as people are getting visible, they're getting on stages, they're going live, they're, all the different ways that we can be visible. How do they really embrace their true self and boldly step into that spotlight?
So I will go back to that self-awareness. A tool that really helped me, again, understand, wow, there's nothing wrong with me. This is just who I am. And then pursue the business and pursue everything that I have been doing, was the Enneagram. So I love personality assessment. So whether it be DISC, Myers-Briggs, recently I did the Clifton Strengths. I'm such a geek for all these things because they all complement each other. They will.
What number are you on the Enneagram?
I'm a 3. What about you?
I'm a 7 with a 3 on the flip side of it. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my second one.
You get how I am the way I am.
I get you totally.
Understanding that about myself, it's like, wow, that's why I'm so connected with the American culture and being such a go-getter and all of those things, wanting the recognition, wanting to be in front of people. So I would say start with understanding yourself. And it goes back to your childhood as well. It goes back to your
upbringing. It totally does.
What were the things that people would tell you all the time, whether good or bad, positive or negative, that have stuck with you, and become more aware of your gifts. Just like what I was saying, I realized it was a gift of mine to talk about myself, to unashamedly, to shamelessly say, I'm good at this. And when somebody would say, can you do this? Yes, I volunteer. I'm the first one to raise my hand. And other people have other gifts. I always say, I'm not good at building spreadsheets, but I have other gifts. There are people that are fabulous at that, and we need those people. So start by really recognizing what your gifts are, because once you recognize that, you can say to the world, I am really good at numbers and I can help you, that's where it all starts.
It does. In fact, you'll see at Ignite, we always do an exercise of who are you at your very essence, and how do you bring that essence of you into your brand? How do you bring that light of you out into the world? So I think that's we're so aligned in that. The more that we know who we are and the stories that have gotten us to this place, and like you said, the childhood, it can be childhood stories, it can be stories from 10, 15, 20 years ago, or it can be stories from last month. But it all shapes who we are today. And the more we can bring that to life, that's how people connect with us. That's how they resonate with us, right?
Yeah. Being real about your struggles as well, that you're not perfect, that you struggle with things.
Yeah, totally.
I always tell clients too, hey, I just like what I said, I suck at planning things and spreadsheets. I'm okay with saying that, because for a while I'd be like, no, I can do it, but that's, as a business owner of all people, you need to know this to delegate, right? Hire people, bookkeepers, experts in that aspect. And when you were saying that about, the exercise that you do, what a privilege we have as entrepreneurs to embark on this journey, because people that are not, it's hard, don't get me wrong. But the majority of people that are not doing what we're doing, they are clueless about who they are. They're like,
so true. And
And
I go
so,
back
and
to my
it's
corporate days. I was not connected
Mhm.
to that essence of
Mhm.
me whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
I was trying to fit in,
Mhm.
which I don't recommend for people who are in the corporate world. But that was definitely what, I was like, I was in the oil and gas industry, and I was in a very
Yeah.
male dominated industry. And I did try to fit in. I mean, and I did well in that space, but I can think back to it and go, oh my gosh, what if I would have actually been truly me
Mhm.
showing up in all those spaces? And I
Right.
think I think it's just so much more powerful to do that. And it is a blessing that as entrepreneurs, we
Yes.
go through that journey to, build our brands, to build who
Yeah.
we are, and really step into that. So I love
Mhm.
that. Um, so at Ignite, you're going to be talking about how to land on TEDx stages. So tell us a little bit more.
Oh my gosh. So the whole TEDx journey was so special. I tell people now that everyone should do a TEDx. It's kind of like one of the wonders of the world. Like think Grand Canyon. You can see the pictures, you can hear people talk about it. You won't know until you're there. And it just
Yeah,
takes your breath away. That's what the
excellent.
TEDx experience was. Yes, it
And
was
what
terrible.
was your TEDx talk?
So it's called the transformational power of defeat.
Cool.
And
Very cool.
yeah, and I could talk about it, but let me just backtrack and say how I got into it. Because as an entrepreneur, there's some, items in the checklist of I want to publish a book or start a podcast. There are things that you see other people doing, and you may be thinking I could do that too, or I would want to do that too. And being on
Yeah.
TEDx was one of those things for me. And early
Yeah.
on, I joined a program that was teaching me how to do it, and their approach is very different from what I teach, which was get a spreadsheet, look for upcoming events, apply to as many as you can, and see what happens. But admittedly, I didn't have my story nailed down as much. I was in the early, beginnings of my business, but I did get a call back for one local here in Grand Junction. But at the time, pre-COVID, they wanted to do an in-person audition, so they didn't select me right away. They wanted me to go to drive 3 hours away, so from Denver to
Hmm.
Grand Junction. And at the time, my kids weren't even two. And I was like, I can't do that for something that's non-paid. I'm not going to drive
Yeah.
there and back in the same day. So I had to decline, which was heartbreaking. But I told myself, when the time is right, it'll happen. And so the time did come when I got to do my talk. And I feel like it was so much better than expected. And one of the things that I teach people, and I'll talk more about at the event, is how being involved with the community in the TEDx as a whole really helped me get selected and go through this experience.
Mm,
And
yeah.
what I think was even more beautiful was having like the blessing of somebody else other than a coach that I paid or my friends or my clients to say, your message is amazing. We want you on the stage. Like that to me, and that's why it has so much to do with seeing, one of the wonders of the world is having somebody that does this for a living, for years, not for a living because it's
Yeah.
typically nonprofit and voluntary work, but somebody that sees applications, see yours stand out and be like, I want you to be
Yeah.
immortalized on the TEDx website and on our YouTube. So it was an amazing experience.
Cool. 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 So what will you be teaching people at Ignite?
Yes. So I will be talking about my specific strategies for landing a TEDx in the sense of finding events that are more appropriate for you instead of going balls
Mhm.
to the wall, whatever, like what I said that I did in the beginning. Um, and then really getting involved. So not just saying I
Perfect.
will go anywhere, finding the ones that you want to commit to and think about a long game strategy. Because if you've been an
Nice.
entrepreneur for a few years, that's what it takes. You can't say I
Yeah.
want something tomorrow. It
Right.
hardly ever
Right.
happens that way. It's like set the intention and now wait a year, 2 years, it doesn't matter because when it does happen, it's going to be amazing. So
Yeah.
and have a strategy for your topic. Understand the format. I say in many ways the TEDx is kind of like SATs, is you need
Hmm.
to understand the format. It's not like any other
Totally.
keynote presentation that you would apply for. You need
Right.
to do the prep and understand what the format is, what they're looking for. And even potentially connect with the curators and have a conversation about what topics that they look for. So getting involved is key. And I'll also be
Cool.
touching a little bit about on how to leverage it after you land it, because landing it is
Perfect.
great. Doing it is amazing. But what can that do? What can that do for your business after?
Excellent. I love that. I'm so excited. And the other piece about your talk that I'm even more super excited about is that it's a keynote concert format, which I love. So here we are bringing your singing into the mix of this.
Yes.
So tell us how you landed on starting to use a keynote concert format for your
Yeah,
talks.
that's been very special because when I did the TEDx, which, like I said, it's called the Transformational Power of Defeat, I talk a little bit about my journey as an immigrant and then having triplets and feeling defeated in many ways, but then understanding you can easily transform defeat into an opportunity for success, which is what
Mm-hmm.
having triplets, really did for me. Um, and at the time, I wanted to infuse some music in it. I asked about singing a song, and because of the acoustics, they said it won't be right, but they did allow me to play a snippet of the Brazilian national anthem, which was super
Mm.
special. So I'm proud that there was some music infused in there. But like you had said, music has been present with me for the longest time. I had this limiting belief myself that it's too late. I'm not going to be on American Idol. I'm not, I'm way into my 30s. I have 3 kids. It's just not going
It's
to
never
happen.
too late.
It's never too
I'm
late.
just saying.
Exactly.
Right.
And so here with me helping women saying, you can write a book, you can go to TEDx. And I'm telling myself, not you, Marta. And then somewhere along this journey, I started getting signs here and there of music is a part of your life. You love
Yeah.
singing. This is a gift that you have.
Yeah.
So that came back to me. It's like, why are you suppressing that? It's
Yeah.
not just meant for showers or for the car. And
Yeah.
with doing the national anthem, it started making its way back until finally I saw a presenter that called himself a keynote artist. So what he does for a living now, and he's performed at Carnegie Hall and he's done several TEDx's, is he plays the guitar, and that is a part of his keynote, is doing
Excellent.
parody or doing, whatever. So it's a huge performance. It's an act. And after that, I went up and talked to him and he said, yeah, there's not many people that do this, but it's definitely a thing. So I got, I was definitely, bitten by the bug at that moment. And I started researching and connecting with more people. And sure enough, there was a whole industry and a niche of people that call themselves keynote artists that perform keynote concerts. So I started pitching myself, and that's what happened with your event too, is I will deliver a talk on this, but I will also infuse music to get the point across, to make it different
Yeah.
and to engage people, because at this day and
Yeah.
age, people are sick of the PowerPoints, right? We need
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
different,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm going to bring.
Yeah, no, that's so awesome. I love it. In fact, I can't wait. And I think I was mentioning my friend Sarah to you on the in the green room, and I'm like, I can't wait to tell her that's like she needs to be doing the same sort of thing because she's a speaker, she's a keynote speaker, and bring her songs into the mix of it. So I so
Yeah.
love that. So love that. And you're doing other singing. I mean, you're like you said, you're singing on the. I mean, you're doing the national anthem for the Rockies game later this month, and you've got all kinds of singing coming up.
I
So
do. So that's something else I realized that I was limiting myself to, of I couldn't possibly go from business coach, visibility coach, to now being on stage and singing and just singing. So my
yeah,
compromise was, I'm going to do the keynote concerts, but I've been loosening up to the idea of I want to sing. I want to
yeah,
be in front of people. So book me
yeah.
to sing, book me to private events. So that's what I've been doing now. I'll be doing
Absolutely.
it at county
That's
fair,
awesome.
and I'm getting out there. I'm practicing what I preach in terms of visibility.
Yeah. And so to anyone is if you've got these pieces of you that are
Yeah.
really essential to who you are, let them live in
Yeah.
your brand. Let them live in your life because I think
Mhm.
that's really, really important. So
Mhm.
I really admire that. So where can people learn more about you, Marta?
Yeah, so you can find me anywhere pretty much. I am visible. So any platform, just search for Marta Spirk. It's S as in Sam, P as in Paul, IRK. And so LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I do have my YouTube channel with some of my music on there, and my website, martaspirk.com. And I do have my podcast, The Empowered Woman, and my 2 books on Amazon.
Cool, cool, cool. So the final question I always close with is what are 3 pearls of wisdom that you'd like to leave with us today?
Oh, 3 pearls of wisdom. Gosh. Well, one of the things that I always say, I have some Marta isms that I decided to coin because I say them a lot. And one of them is, um, people will notice you if you don't go away. And that goes
Mm,
back to the squeaky wheel gets the grease. If you
yeah.
say things enough times, and this has been my journey for the last 7 years, because, well, I was telling you, I started with network marketing. I started posting workouts, and being like, drink this shake. That's how I started my business. And some people have been seeing me go from that to then being on stage, then being on TV. I have not given up. So people are seeing that, and those are the people that will come back and be like, dang girl, you don't stop and you don't give up. I'm going to hire you, or I'm going to send my friend to you. So this is really my philosophy of life, is keep going for it. What else? There was a quote that really got me on this journey too, when we're talking about self-awareness, and understanding your gifts. Because having triplets was something that really, like I said, pushed me in this journey, but more so because I felt that responsibility and also the impossibility of how can I really foster the individuality in three kids that are growing up together, because they are so different. They're not identical, but still born the same day, being raised by the same people. They're so unique. So what does that say about me and you when we come from completely different backgrounds? And back to what I was saying, if somebody follows you on social media, they probably follow a handful of people that do something similar. Why would they pick you? So I found a quote on Pinterest once that really spoke to me. It's by a British poet that says, see your beauty without a compliment and without a mirror. Meaning, don't wait for that external validation. And the whole story behind that quote is that I found it because I like pink. I use pink in my branding a lot. And I found it in a mood board for decor for girls, for girl rooms. And they actually modified the quote to say, to my daughter, I will say, see your beauty without a compliment and without a mirror. And that made me teary, because I thought, I never want my daughter to feel ugly. I never want her to feel unwanted. But we all know this is going to happen in life, right? So how can I model that to her? I have to do it. It has to start with me. So that's the other piece of wisdom. I don't know about a third one, but I think those are good.
Okay, that sounds good. So this has been so much fun, and I'm thrilled to have you joining us at Ignite. Ignite is going to be October 24th through 26th in Golden, Colorado. You can get your tickets at CamiGellner.com/Ignite. And Marta, I'm really thrilled that you're going to be joining us, and thank you for sharing all your good wisdom today.
Thank you so much.